Father's Day in Sydney is supposed to be a day for families to come together and celebrate. But in 1984, what unfolds on that day is nothing short of a tragedy that shocks the entire nation to its core. A violent and deadly feud between two rival motorcycle clubs comes to a head, and the consequences are devastating. The police are forced to make over 30 arrests and conduct 500 interrogations in the aftermath. But even more shocking than the arrests and interrogations are the 7 lives that are lost in the conflict. Among the victims is a 14-year-old girl who is innocently selling sausages at a family barbecue when she is struck down by a bullet. A heinous and senseless act that plays out in a public place and forever changes the lives of those involved. But what exactly is the cause of this deadly conflict?
It was a Father's Day like no other.
The Comanchero-MC, today one of the most powerful and notorious motorcycle clubs in Australia, is founded by William George "Jock" Ross. Jock is born into a middle-class family in Glasgow, Scotland, where the tough streets of his hometown teach him to be a survivor. He joins the British Army at the young age of 17, serving with the Royal Engineers for 7 years. The Army instills in him a fierce sense of discipline, loyalty, and duty that shape his character for years to come. After being honorably discharged from the Army, Jock is not content with a life of mediocrity. He sets his sights on a new land, a new horizon, and a new adventure. He immigrates to the land down under, settling in New South Wales in 1996. Little does he know that his journey would be the catalyst for a revolution in the world of motorcycle clubs. Jock is a man of many talents, working as a truck driver and an apprentice blacksmith. But it is his natural ability to form deep connections that would change the course of his life forever. He befriends veterans of the Vietnam War, empathizing with them and forging bonds that will last a lifetime. It is during this time that Jock has a vision, a dream of creating a brotherhood like no other. He unites with his newfound friends and forms a motorcycle club that will become the stuff of legends, the Comancheros-MC. The name of the club is inspired by a classic John Wayne Western movie from 1961. He is a natural-born leader, a man destined for greatness in the world of motorcycle clubs. At the beginning, the club consists of only 5 members, and no one can predict the meteoric rise of the Comanchero-MC to become the most powerful biker club in Australia. Ross buys a property for a mere $800 on the rural Mangrove Mountain Road in 1971, and it quickly becomes his home. He lives there with his first wife and daughter, and his vision for the future of the Comanchero-MC is taking shape. Ross is a master of forging deep connections, and he quickly becomes a fixture in the Sydney pub scene, where he meets other motorcyclists who will become part of the Comanchero Brotherhood. The club grows bigger and bigger, and by 1973, it is already clashing with another motorbike club called the Kings. No one knows exactly what leads to the first altercation, but what follows is a series of brawls that see Ross and his Comanchero brothers pitted against the Kings in a fierce battle for dominance. These altercations bring the Comanchero-MC to the attention of the police for the first time, and the authorities issue a warning against the two feuding motorbike clubs. Undeterred, Ross moves the Comanchero clubhouse to a Sydney suburb, and the club continues to thrive, fueled by a fierce sense of brotherhood and loyalty that permeates every aspect of its existence. Ross is known for his leadership skills and his unwavering authority, which are felt throughout the entire club. If you want to become a member of the Comanchero-MC, you not only have to pledge your allegiance to the club, but also to Ross himself. Ross's military background is evident in the way he trains his men. Every week, the Comanchero-MC participates in training sessions that have a paramilitary flavor to them. Ross wants his men to be prepared for any potential clashes with other motorbike clubs. His commitment to training and preparation is so strong that he even establishes his own elite unit within the club, the Strike Force. This unit consists of only the toughest fighters in the Comanchero-MC. The Comanchero-MC's attacks are legendary for their military precision, and reporters of the time report on their violent clashes with other outlaw biker clubs. In the 70s and 80s, the Comanchero-MC is considered to be the most violent of them all, earning a reputation for brutality and fearlessness. Ross's iron fist leadership style sets the tone for the entire club, and his dedication to preparation and military training makes the Comanchero MC a force to be reckoned with. Opinions are fiercely divided when it comes to the subject of Ross. Some members simply can't stand him, and one man in particular plays a pivotal role in the club's history. His name is Anthony Snodgrass Spencer, and his life is marked by tragedy and hardship. Abandoned by his parents, he's shunted from children's home to children's home, never knowing the love of a real father figure. But all that changes when he joins the Comanchero MC in 1974, where he finds in Ross a mentor and father figure like no other. But as time goes on, cracks begin to appear in their once untouchable bond. The final straw comes with Ross's second wedding, where Spencer is banned from attending over fears that his addictions will ruin the day. This, combined with rumors of Ross having an affair with the wife of a club brother, leads to a growing chorus of voices calling for his removal from power. But Ross is not one to back down easily. He has a plan to quell the unrest within the club, and it involves splitting the Comancheros into two separate chapters. Those who disagree with his leadership style are sent to the new chapter, including Spencer, who's put in charge. However, even this move fails to fully pacify the tensions within the club. Ross's drunken brawl at the local pub, which leads to him being barred from entry, is the final straw. Seeking revenge, Ross calls on all his Comancheros to join him in a brutal fight, but Spencer and the Birch Grove chapter refuse to take part, marking an even bigger split inside the Comanchero MC. It is 1981, and Spencer is about to make a move that will change the biker scene in Australia forever. After traveling to the United States, he meets with some high-ranking bandidos who are interested in doing business with him and his Comanchero chapter. The only catch is that Spencer and his chapter will have to patch over to the Bandidos. It takes 2 years of discussion, but the decision is finally made in November 1983. The tension between the two groups is palpable. Ross demands that all Comanchero frocks be returned, but this demand is not met, and repeated clashes bring the feud to a boil. The bikers, now sworn enemies, fight every time they see each other, even though they have agreed to rules for future altercations. There is no fighting in public places or in members' private homes. However, both sides keep ignoring these rules. The feud grows bigger and bigger, and the climax is near. The Comancheros had gathered at a swap meet of a British motorbike club, armed and ready for a fight. Their leader, Ross, stood in the open, pretending to be alone, as his men hid in wait. Meanwhile, the Bandidos, running late, arrived with a force of 34 heavily armed members. As the two gangs faced each other, the tension was palpable. The air was thick with the smell of gasoline, sweat, and the promise of violence. The situation quickly escalated when a shotgun was accidentally fired into the air. In an instant, chaos erupted as a full-scale brawl broke out. Members of both clubs unleashed a variety of weapons, including chains, bats, and knives. The sound of gunfire rang out as the air was filled with screams, curses, and the clanging of metal. Even the wives and girlfriends of the club members were drawn into the fray, throwing themselves into the melee with reckless abandon. But the violence was far from one-sided. The Bandidos, outnumbered but not outmatched, fought back with ferocity. The police, already alerted to the brewing conflict, rushed to the scene. But the fight had reached a fever pitch, and it was too late to contain. More than 200 police officers and helicopters were deployed to bring order to the chaos. As the battle rages on, innocent bystanders are caught in the crossfire. A 14-year-old girl, Leanne Walters, is struck by a stray bullet and tragically loses her life. Several others are injured, and 2 more lives are lost in the skirmish between the two clubs. When the dust settles, the trial of the biker war is one of the largest in Australian history. A total of 43 people are charged, and the trial is a monumental effort. The police have to maintain a constant presence to keep the situation under control. One of the Bandidos eventually cooperates with the police, becoming a key witness in the trial. Ross, the leader of the Comancheros, recovers from his injuries and is sentenced to life in prison for his role in the brawl. It is a dark day in Australia's history, a reminder of the violent underbelly that can lurk beneath even the most idyllic of places.